Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of KD Live. I'm here with my good buddy Jonathon Ferry, our VP of Product Education and Experience. I'm DeWayne Rains, VP of Sales at Key Digital, and we are here with a really exciting product and solution that we've had out for a while. This is our third iteration of it, right, Jonathon? We just keep making it better and better, and it was great to start with. And that is our 8-button IP controller with RS-232 and IR. That's our KD-WP8-3. So, Jonathon, tell us a little bit more about this amazing single gang controller that can do so much.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. Yeah, absolutely. Had it out for a little while now, and it's just provided us a gateway into a lot of different solutions, ways that people you look at something like this and you might just think, okay, traditional conference room controller, for example. And in fact, we want to show you a bunch of other applications, so much so that we're kind of not even focusing necessarily on conference rooms here in this, because that's kind of just taken for granted, if you will. Beyond conference rooms, what can this do for you? Well, the KD-WP8-3, how it's going.
Hey, Jonathon, as we get started, let's kind of take them through how we started with WP8, then -2, and now -3.
Yeah, certainly, and it all happened pretty fast, didn't it? But with the KD-WP8, so this third iteration, as Dwayne had mentioned, and what we did was we released, something that looks maybe old, but is very modern behind the scenes. It looks rugged, may not be as fancy as what some you might think of as far as an interface for some of these conference rooms now, classrooms, etc. But actually, that's the appeal of it. We've so many end users are looking for a rugged, reliable control interface again, and that's what's led to the success there. Now with the WP8-3, it sent the commands and on the network, it lived on the network. Then we added, with the WP8-2, we added these IR and RS-232 ports built into the keypad, okay? And now with the WP8-3, we added telnet communication. Telnet communication, it's like it's a more secure communication over IP that often you connect to the device with the username and password, and then you're in, and now you could begin sending your commands during that telnet session. And we've also added integer variable support in the WP8-3. So if you have an amplifier or DSP, for example, that only in order to control volume, let's say, and you need to go volume up, but it doesn't have a up command. It instead needs that discrete value. How can you do that if you're just have it on an up button versus a volume slider? And that's where the WP8-3 gives us.
Yeah, you mentioned that this iteration has come pretty fast. It's so fast that we still haven't updated our image over here. That's WP8-2 on the right.
You're not supposed to point that out.
But anyway, it's been very exciting watching this product evolve so quickly and get used in so many ways. And we're going to talk about that as we go into these next slides. And although you mentioned it being rugged, it's actually done very elegantly. It's a very elegant looking wall plate, and it's just so easy to use. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go.
Yeah, lots of benefits to that. So here we are with the the different ways you could use this. Okay, how does it work? Before we get into the applications, understand how it works. Well, the KD-WP8-3 lives on the network. It's receiving its power from a PoE network switch. And we could send the commands to your IP controlled devices. These are your projectors, for example. They have their control codes published in their manual, or perhaps they adhere to the PJ Link control over IP standard that we'll talk about in more detail. This could be presentation switchers and audio DSP. You know, IP control is even on your lighting and shade control systems these days, and more. And as we mentioned with the WP8-2, we added the IR and the RS-232 port. So without any additional hardware necessary, now I can control IP devices and one IR, one RS-232 device. So kind of the perfect solution for a smaller application like a huddle room or a classroom.
But Jonathan, what if I want to add more IR and more RS-232 device? Unlimited IP control, obviously, but what about that?
Well, and that's where we are right here with additional RS-232, IR, and even voltage control as possible, DeWayne, by adding additional key digital controllers. So we have here, we're showing our CX800, our AV over IP, 4K AV over IP encoders and decoders, KD-WP8-3 and 922s. And even our MC1000. So you could add 8 or 3 ports with these different devices.
You know, what's nice about using our CX800 though, is that controller is also PoE power capable. So you can put those remotely out throughout your project and then get those extra control ports for IR, RS-232, or 5-volt trigger for your low voltage control on a projection screen.
Yeah, and it's such a small, such a small form factor. So yeah, it's really a way of kind of decentralizing, where we think of the control processor being located in the rack. Or how about, yeah, with your 4K AV over IP, you could turn on and off your displays. You can do channel control, camera control, whatever you might need. You know, you got an AV over IP system, which of course we have our free Key Digital app. We have an open API, so it's easy to control. But you could also now give your client a physical touch button interface for controlling perhaps their room, as it is part of the complete 4K AV over IP system.
Now, Jonathan, I may have missed it. You probably said it, but how many commands possible with the WP8? Did we say that already?
Oh, hey, yeah, that's a good point. You know, it's one of those things with the first slide where I kind of just left the words on the screen, but you know, talked about something else. You can have a total of 160 events possible. That's 20 buttons per 20 events per button, for example. And how it works is it's 10 max on the press, and then another 10 max on either the release of the button or on the hold. Those could be unique events as you press and hold or press and release.
So you walk in, press the one button, and it brings the lights down, turns the projector on, brings the screen down, et cetera, and so on and so on. I mean, this thing is like in a single gang space, 160 events possible. That's amazing.
And I especially like, imagine this volume plus right here. I can press and hold that volume plus, and it'll just continue to repeat that volume plus command, right? Instead of having to press it many times. Or what about this power button, for example? You know, everybody's accustomed to pressing the power button twice to turn off the projector. Well, you could put in a hold for send in your programming, so that if I hold it for a specified amount of time, up to 10 seconds, let's say 5 seconds, then it'll actually turn off the projector.
Yeah, then it sends the 2 commands like it's looking for.
You got it. You got it.
So smart.
Now, and one more thing to consider is, you know, we're talking about all the IP controllability and everything. You may not even need to put this on your network if you want to really just get out to this, get into the job site, get this installed, and you don't need to control things on the projector. Then you could just on the network, excuse me. Then you could simply use a PoE injector and take advantage of the additional IR and RS-232 port that's built in, along with adding our master controllers.
And if you have been to our booth at Infocom or ISC in Barcelona, you would have seen us doing just that, because we just used an injector for controlling our switcher and the displays, all without a full network switch, because all it needed was the PoE power and the connectivity.
Absolutely. So now you know how it works. Now let's get into some of the popular ways that people are installing the KD-WP8-3. The first very, very popular application is just to simply control their projectors in their classrooms, conference rooms, presentation spaces. And DeWayne, do you know about PJ Link?
I do, and it's a really nice language that kind of like CEC is for displays, PJ Link is for projectors, pretty much, right? It's kind of a universal on-off inputs, etc. They all recognize the same command structure. You can look at all the logos here. I think you covered most of the major manufacturers of projectors right there.
Yeah, and that's you hit the nail on the head there. It's a universal. A lot of these commercial display projector manufacturers, and even some of these folks like your Sharp NECs, have implemented it in their flat panels as well. And it's a standardized command set for those common necessary commands. And what we've done, DeWayne, because we've recognized how popular this application was, is we went ahead and we made a free file you could download from the KD-WP8-3 product page, where you could download for free some pre-programmed files and also a presentation kind of outlining that and detailing that, where button 1 is going to turn on the projector, button 2, your top right, off the projector, 3, and actually, well, you know what? Button 3 and 4, it says HDMI 1 and 2. Another typo. That's actually buttons 3 and 4 and 6, in fact. But it makes sense to not space them out as we itemize it here. So on, off, HDMI 1, HDMI 2, volume plus minus, a audio muting toggle, and AV muting toggle. So actually muting that projector screen. And here's a QR code you could follow to download. It all comes to you in a zip file. And or you could see where we have it in the resources tab for the WP8-3 product page. And here we are. If you have inside that zip folder, you're going to see 3 projects. This is project A, where all 8 of those button commands go directly to the projector. So we're turning it on and off. We're also controlling the volume at the projector, for example. However, a lot of applications, you might actually need an amplifier for your room. So you could add the KD-WP8-220 using it as your amplifier, or even using it as a preamplifier for larger rooms. And then in that case, we send the volume plus, minus, and muting commands to the amplifier. And if you need additional HDMI inputs, or perhaps a USB-C input, a DisplayPort input, you could use Key Digital presentation switchers. And that's what we have on project C, is the input selection. HDMI 1, HDMI 2 goes to the presentation switcher instead of the projector. Keep in mind, we also have an instruction guide, and you're actually able to, you could easily edit these project files as well.
So for example, Jonathan, if I wanted to edit this to say that button that says HDMI 1, because I can always put another icon in there, just the source toggle or something, and hit it, it goes HDMI 1, hit it again, HDMI 2, hit it again, it goes to the display board, hit it again, then it goes to USB-C input, et cetera, and so on, and so on.
You could do that. You could do that if you wanted to free up a button for another use. Absolutely. And DeWayne, that example you give, you could do it 2 ways. Number one is, well, thanks to the WP8-3 having a variable, we could say the variable value is 1, and now we're making it, we hit the button again, now it becomes 2, and we reference that value in the command we're sending, and so on and so on, as you mentioned. The other way we could do it is with Key Digital switchers. We have a command that's just U for up in the place of the numerical value 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. U for up, or D for down.
One thing we did also, I think, forget to mention in the beginning, these icons, we call them stickers, but they're not. There's 175 in the box. They're clear plastic that go in under these button caps. You can easily change those out, make them what you want it to be. So in case we
Yeah.
forgot that. And we have a template on the website. You can make your own. We even give you the font that we use so you can match them up.
Yeah, great point. That's a very popular feature of that because, you know, look, I think I'm coming around to your perspective there, DeWayne. This thing actually looks quite modern after all with those flat icons, flat black icons as they're called in the design world. So now you're talking about projectors and you see how we do that. What about a classroom with the simple smart board interactive display on the wall? Well, a lot of those times, those displays are RS-232 controllable. In fact, they all are. They might even add IP now, but let's just keep it simple, right? You get this, the WP8 on the wall, connect the RS-232, and do your PoE power from a network, sure. Or how about the PoE injector? I've stumbled on that saying projector twice. Got projectors on the mind. And once again, you could again add an amplifier to the system as well for those rooms that may need some volume reinforcement, audio reinforcement, and you can control that over IR, or if that amplifier is IP controllable and the projector, the keypad is on the network, you're able to do that there.
Well, we all know in these instances how remotes get lost. So if you're trying to control that with the remote that came with it, or the batteries die, here you never have to worry about it. It's always on the wall. It's always powered up, ready to go, and that way the instructor doesn't have to worry about that or calling the whoever to come bring me some new batteries, or I need to order another remote, this or that. So just a lot of reasons why you'd want to go this route.
Exactly. Great point. That's the appeal of it, isn't it? Is it this remote's not walking away multiple times per school year, you know, there it is on the wall. And guess what, DeWayne, if you were afraid though that, yeah, but what about my students wanting to play jokes and turn off the smart board or projector? We
No,
have
it always drove me crazy when students were like that. I was never like that. You were never like that. But yes, that can happen. And yeah, the key combo lock and unlock feature is vital in the education space.
Absolutely. Press and hold your the password that you've set in the admin menu. Press and hold it for 3 seconds to lock or to unlock the keypad. So then you can do your functionality. Press it again to lock it back. So any button presses basically don't do anything. And of course, there's also an auto timeout setting. So after I think up to 10 minutes, or you can determine when the keypad will go back to the locked state, preventing any unauthorized use and accidental power downs of the projectors, which will take lots and lots of time, and you might as well send those students to recess, right?
Yep. But if you're not in the education space, but more in a business space, you don't have to set a lock and unlock. You can have it open all the time. It's totally up to you.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry, DeWayne. I wasn't even listening to what you just said because I was just thinking to myself, did I leave the projector on in my classroom before I went to this meeting?
Well, I
Shoot,
don't know. Do you have an iPhone with you? Do you
I
have
do. I do.
or do you have yeah, so I think you can probably remotely control that same keypad.
You're telling me there's a virtual keypad for the WP8-3?
That's part of the Key Digital app, isn't it?
Well, the Key Digital app, or you could actually use any web browser. It could be a
Yeah.
computer. It could be
Well, that's right. It has its own web user interface, doesn't it?
yes, sir. So what you do is you get that once you get that installed, you bookmark the IP address of the user, the bookmark the IP address of the keypad into the user's web browser so that they can go ahead and just bookmark that. Just hit a single button. They're right in. They enter their password. It is password protected. And it is a full two-way user interface. So you can see if that projector or your room is still on, and go ahead and hit button 2 there, which says off, as you see. So it actually, as you program the keypad with each button name, and in the physical keypad, you put a corresponding icon in there. Well, here you could actually see the button names plus the name of the keypad itself at the bottom center, where it says training room here. That might say classroom 101, 102, 103, etc.
Very good. Very good.
Now, there's something else cooking. I don't know if cooking's the right analogy. There's something else going on at these schools, DeWayne. You know, they're having some fun. It's not all just learning. And they're playing some sports, these kids.
Mind and body here. So we're doing a little sports.
There we go. And this is thanks to our partner over at Daktronics. DeWayne, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Daktronics has been using all the way from the original WP8. And this is a pretty cool function that they use. They have their own racks built, but the WP8 is part of that. And you can see they're using it for all kinds of things, full screen basketball, football scoreboard, and etc. Run their media players with their ads running, their ad loop there on button 6, as you see, full screen live video button 4, just so easy. Preset. I mean, they've been doing this for several years since the WP8 came out, and we appreciate their support. And it's just really, really cool, and it's always there, and you're not having to worry about, again, remote controls or somebody not charging an iPad or whatever.
Yeah. And this is they offer it as, or they include it as a complement to their if the PC running their software, that of course gives additional functionality for the scoreboard manager, but this gives everything you need for those users that may not be quite as in depth with the computer software. And
that brings up a good point that you make there.
Hmm.
Even going back to classrooms and conference rooms, people say, well, why in this day and age are you making an 8-button tactical control panel? Everybody wants a touch panel. Well, not necessarily, but they may still want a touch panel, but they want everyday use in a simple, easy to use 8-button panel. So you can use both in the same system without issue, as they do here with Daktronics, as you can do whether you're using our compass control or any other third-party control system on a touch panel. You can still have that basic, room control for everyday activities. And then if you want to go a little more, then you get into the touch panel. So it just works well.
You know it. So now getting into something that maybe you've seen before, because actually I believe our very first KD Live about KD-WP8-3 was actually announcing a great partnership that we really appreciate. And it's a partnership.
Actually, it was when we were doing WP8-2.
Okay, then so even further back.
Yes.
And this was a control system from one of our partners utilizing the open API of the KD-WP8-2, and now the KD-WP8-3 just takes that even further. And we have a certified plugin from that partner. That is QSys, where we had Emily on with us in the past to describe how the QSys, how KD-WP8-3 came to be part of the QSys ecosystem through their design, the demand of their design team, and that is available to be downloaded in the QSys designer. It's now no longer in the beta stages. It started out in the beta stage, and now is fully it's had its time period of baking, and it's done, and it's no longer has the beta tag on it in their software. There's
fully ready for consumption. Matter of fact, I still have the post-it from that KD Live with Emily, and her quote here, because it was when she said it, I'm like, oh, I got to write that down. She said, and I believe I asked her the question, what she had to say about the WP8-2 at the time. She said, the possibilities are endless with this type of solution. And I said, can I use that? She said, yes, you can. So
And here we are. I mean, look, she's absolutely right, huh? I know they're using it for a variety of applications. PTZ camera control is one that they brought up. Presentation switching, 8 inputs, switching, oops, sorry, and more. And those are actually, they have that in the sample system designs. It's a full two-way interface too. So all you do, what QSys is doing is it's listening for what button the user presses, and then QSys itself is actually sending the commands to control the cameras or the switcher, for example. And so all the programming is in QSys, where you just connect your pins, as the terminology goes in QSys Designer software, and that completes the programming there. And in fact,
and on this next one, Jonathan, if I might interrupt you there,
please go for
we
it.
were contacted by Avio Systems prior to Infocom in June, and they wanted to let us know that they would have our WP8 active in their booth with their control platform controlling it. And so I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I checked this out a bit, and what they're doing that's cool is every programming software is different, and they have what they call their Mira portal, where you can choose your device, and then you can choose the functions for the device. Is it a display in the room? Okay, and then here's your list of commands for the display. And basically, as though it were one of their buttons in their touch screens, you can the 8 buttons of the WP8-3 are available to send those functions, again, just as though it were one of their native touch screens. And what they're doing is they take it one step further, where that actually exports a WP8 config file as though you were sending the commands in or from the keypad. And then you open up our web UI and you import that file into the WP8 keypad. So it's very interesting how they're doing that, and I applaud their engineers for that. You could do things. The commands are actually executed by Mira Connect, but the button behaviors and whatnot, I think that's what's exporting in that file. I want button 1 to stay latched in the blue state, while button 2 is unlatched because that would be red otherwise.
Yeah, and that little QR code that you see on the screen there will take you to a video that they shot during Infocom in their booth, showing exactly that. A quick little demo of how they interact and program and configure our WP8.
Yes, sir. So really cool, exciting stuff. And it's very easy, actually, this open API. Here you're looking at it, if you've ever logged into a device to send a command on PuTTY or TerraTerm or any of those softwares, HyperTerminal, remember those? Here you just send the command, for example. If I want to press and release, this is the most common, actually, is this keypad WP, and then this X is the button number, and then PR is to press and release that button. KD-WP8-3 PR will press and release button 5, for example. If you wanted somehow to, if you wanted to keep button X red or button X blue, or turn off the LED, you see the commands here. And what these folks are doing at these control systems is they're listening for, down here, responses after the button press, physical or virtual. So the user presses button 7, and the keypad is going to send through its active socket with that control system the RWP, the response wall plate 7P, button 7 was pressed, so that then these control system partners will execute whatever commands they've associated with that button 7. So it's very easy. As you can see, we try to make the API as easy as possible at Key Digital, and that goes for all of our devices. And it's very powerful. And the benefit being that, where a lot of manufacturers now are going to exclusively touchscreens, KD-WP8-3 is there to offer a physical button interface that's rugged, that can endure a school year, They can allow you to lock it down so no unauthorized use occurs, but modern, giving you the virtual keypad if you need, because you're a bit absent-minded like Jonathan.
And it is so easy to program. Even the VP of sales can do it. So
You've done it.
I have.
Yeah, that's right. Way to go, DeWayne. Way to go.
You just type in the IP address and it brings up the programming window, and it's just step by step, easy.
It truly is, and the it's so easy, and we do have a programming guide on our YouTube channel, and we also the manual, which was QR coded earlier. The manual, honestly, it shows every potential scenario that you could need, every potential scenario. The manual really covers it all. And but the programming video is more like, hey, here's an example system, and we go through the programming, and that's 20 minutes, I think, that video with all the explanations of showing a person doing this for the first time and describing to it for a first-time viewer, rather. So yeah, it doesn't get any easier than that, DeWayne.
Yeah, and say, well, look, I need more than 8 buttons. You can put 2 gangs and 2 wall plates side by side, 16 buttons, and you can just keep growing it. So it's not like you have to use only one.
I like that.
And so, yeah, I remember there was one system where it was like a retirement village, and they had about 20 different TVs, and all they wanted to do, they didn't want to have to keep up with remotes, so they used a keypad for every TV just to turn it on, change the channels on the cable box, and that's it. And it was all done with IR and RS-232 only, no IP control, and they just powered it. They did use a PoE switch to power all of them, but that was it. And it was just so easy and simple, and it was always there. Because I don't know if you've ever had a loved one in one of those type of facilities, the remotes go missing all the time. So
yeah, well, that's a good point. So they're probably doing dual IR then. They probably got 2 IR emitters plugged into our IR port, which is
actually, in this
fine.
case, all the TVs were RS-232
Oh,
controlled.
okay.
So they were able to do that,
Yeah.
and then IR to the cable box.
Okay. But otherwise, that's the built-in IR port that has no problem with stuffing 2 IR emitters in there. For example, it's on a Phoenix connector, so that makes
Yeah,
that
it's like
easy.
using a universal remote. The TV ignores the commands it doesn't understand, and the cable box is the same. So absolutely.
Precisely. DeWayne, thanks, buddy. This has been a good one.
It's a good one because this is a great product and solution all in one. And so they're going like hotcakes. So get your WP8-3 and start programming away.
Yep, time to go. You're making me hungry.
Everybody have a great time with the WP8-3. We've enjoyed it, and we will see you on the road. And if you have any questions, reach out to sales@keydigital.com. And if you have any tech support questions, reach out to tech@keydigital.com. We've got the best tech support team in the world. And